Good morning. I know I just did a video, but that was more like one of those little filler things. It was just a little quick, look what I got from the thrift store kind of bullshit. So now I want to talk about something actual. Consecration and desecration. I actually had done a video. I had made some talismans, some necklaces, and I was talking about the consecration of them because some of them were going to be consecrated. This one, I just want to, talk about consecration and desecration as a whole. Not really actually consecrating an object. So these are like two poles of how power is placed into or stripped out of a thing, a place, or an act. And in my practice, there are ways of altering the status of a focus of power. So consecration, what it is the act of making something set apart, charged, and claimed. I'm not like making something holy, okay, in some kind of religious sense. It's not what I'm doing. I just make it belong, okay, to a spirit, to a current, a working, or a witch, like belonging to me. So setting apart, that is, the object or place is removed from its ordinary use and placed under a specific current. The binding in, the power is poured into it. It's sealed and then it's given a direction. Claiming, that is, the witch or spirit marks it as theirs. It becomes part of a working ecology. And activation, the thing becomes capable of participating in ritual action. Now, consecration can be done through breath, blood, smoke, oil, a spoken claim, or contact with a familiar spirit or tutelary force. And this is not like some gentle act you're doing, okay? It is a territorial one. You are declaring that something belongs and has a higher purpose, and everything else is pushed out. You're deliberately drawing a boundary. You are cleansing and blessing something, and you're charging it with a purpose. Like a skull will become a spirit house. A candle becomes a spell. A stick becomes a wand, a tool. And the more this object is used for its named purpose, the more power it has and the more it will be that tool. You can make this consecration as simple or complex and elaborate as you want it. You can take 5 minutes. You can take an hour. It can be under a full moon at midnight with lit candles everywhere and incense thick in the air, chanting until your eyes roll back into your head. Or it can be in your kitchen with just some water, some salt, and some olive oil while you're waiting on your toast to pop up and your coffee to brew. Now, some steps that I have tended to use. The first one would be the cleansing, of course. Physically, if possible. Some things can't have water, soap, or anything on it. But things that can, physically wash it with the soap, with the water. Maybe add in some herbs. I like lemon, evergreens, rue, mugwort, that kind of stuff. Now, you can do all of those and, whichever other ones you use. You can use like 2 or 3 of them. You can use just one. It's up to you. Then with incense or smoke, of course, thinking the cleansing thoughts, the intentions, say words out loud. Maybe you can sing, maybe you can chant, however far you take it. The second one would be anointing. Olive oil, sunflower oil. If you don't have any of the, the fancy oils. Even essential oils will work if you dilute them with a little bit of olive, almond, sunflower oil, jojoba oil. You just dip a finger in and you wipe from the center up and then go back to the center and go down. Candles, jewelry, the skulls, the bottles, the boxes, the wands, the staffs, statues, chalices, whatever it is. And then there's the rebirthing thing. A lot of people don't do this. I do this. I learned to do this, and I like this concept. So, a black cloth, that can be leather or even a dark bag. You wrap up, put in your object. That's the tomb in the womb. That's what I learned to call it, the tomb in the womb. And basically, its old self, what it was used for, or what it was, is going to die away, and then its new self is going to start when you unwrap it. And that is it. You don't have to do any more than that. Some people will take it and then bury it and be so elaborate as to not dig it back up until the next moon cycle. You don't have to. It's up to you how you feel it needs to be done. Then I sprinkle the elements on it. Some people don't feel the need to do that. Then pass it over a flame like a candle, and then through some incense smoke. Really simple. Now the fourth step is charging. This is where you name it and you give it its purpose. Like I said, if you want it to be really simple, you just sprinkle some water on it, anoint it with some oil, or just blow on it. Whisper your intent when you're blowing on it, and that's it. Now afterwards, you still want to clean them every now and then, of course. I think some of mine are up. They need to be done. You can do the magical wash or just smoking it, smoke cleansing. Once a year, yeah, there's some of mine that needs to be done. Once a year is really good to clean your whole altar and everything on it. That needs to be done too. I'm glad I reminded myself. If you have wood tools, I usually will clean them off with just a damp cloth and oil them. Of course, you're going to want, if the dampness is too damp, you're going to want to let that dry first, and then I oil it. You can use things like linseed oil, Danish oil, beeswax, a wood balm. Need to make some more wood balm. Now, if you have leather things, they of course need the leather dressing or the saddle balm for leather. Wipe it down. And of course, if you use leather, you probably know how to take care of it, but those that don't, you massage that balm into the leather. If you have hides, furs, rugs, you can just sprinkle on some baking soda and let it sit for like 15 minutes and then shake it out. Of course, rugs, you can vacuum them. You can sprinkle a little essential oils in the baking soda, just a little. You don't want to get too wet for these things. That's just for the scent, whatever essential oil you need for whatever magical purpose. Tarot decks and wood runes. I say wood runes because I have wood runes. I don't have glass ones or anything else. They could also use a good smoking if you don't do that regularly. You get these energies in them. You pull those out and you let the earth have them. It knows what to do with it. Some people will just put crystals on top of them for a period of time. I think in the beginning that's what I had. And I had the smoky quartz because I learned that from someone. So I would take a smoky quartz and put on top of it. And then for like sachets, charms, talismans, once or twice a year is a good time for replacing those if they are the temporary ones. Like your Bridget's cross at Imbolc, I will always, the next year around, I will burn that and then make a new one. Spirit traps, if you use them, they're meant to be burned. I've learned that they're meant to be burned and then new ones made. That's why when I make any kind of protection charm or a blessing charm, most of the time I'm not going to be worried about making them too elaborate. They don't have to be precious because they're going to be burnt and new ones made. And then one small note I wanted to make about spirit fetishes. I know everybody doesn't do that, but I try, wasn't always so in the beginning, try not to make more than I can actually handle or look after, because I learned that they have to be clean and fed, and when you go somewhere, they are supposed to go with you. They need to be honored and worked with. So personally, myself, I do not try to make, I don't have more than one or two. I don't have time. So just one or two. I don't have time for a dozen of them. But there's some ideas that maybe you could just make a medicine bundle with a token for each one if you wanted to have more than one. Or just have one spirit house for each kind. I'm talking like an ancestor spirit house or an animal spirit house or a plant spirit house. And you just keep all that small and then you can handle it. Desecration. What is desecration? Excuse me. This. I should be drinking that, right? No, shouldn't. Not good for you. Desecration is the breaking of a boundary that you set. You're unbinding. The power is released from its container or claim. Neutralization. This object is stripped of its charge. And reversal. The intention is undone. So breaking a claim, freeing an object. Like you're getting rid of a fetish or a ritual tool or some kind of sacred item. Maybe it's broken or maybe it needs to be thrown out. I do not throw them in the garbage. This was a sacred item. And I just feel like it deserves more respect than that. So some methods that I've learned are putting it in a jar with sea salt and then sticking it in the window. My kitchen window gets the most sun, but you're sticking it in there for a whole moon cycle. You can also bury it in the ground for a moon cycle. You're not keeping it there, you're just burying it for one moon cycle. So chill. Okay. So this is good for objects that you don't want to destroy, okay? But you can still repurpose them or undo the intentions. Spirit houses, jewelry, keys, crystals, stones. And then there's the classic break it and burn it. So different cultures carry their own beliefs with this process. You're destroying the object. You're setting the spirit free, whether that's a bottle, a trap, a statue, a wand, a staff, stains, and then they throw it in a fire. Now you will gather the remnants and burn them. Burn them. You've already burned them. You will gather the remnants out of the fire afterwards and bury them. Take that or leave it. I know it depends on what it is, like glass or something, but I can tell you that glass was a natural material to begin with. Also is the go-away box. What is a go-away box? Again, something you don't want to destroy. So I keep boxes. So I'll get a box that can hold it and draw some kind of protective talisman on each side of it. That means ends, bottom, sides, and top. And then you consecrate that box for its purpose. I will wrap the tool up or object or whatever it is. I try to use some kind of natural fabric or brown paper, you know, whatever you have, as long as it's natural. And then put it in the box. Now you can I seal it with candle wax, okay? And then while the candle wax is still pretty pliable or whatever, I will wrap a cord or a thread around it. Again, it's natural material. And then knot it real tight and then bury it. Usually when I do this, I'm going to make sure that it's a natural material, that's a natural object that will decay over time with the box. Hence why I use natural materials. Probably will use beeswax because it's natural, you know. But you do you. And then after a desecration, of course, I will go and cleanse with a sea salt bath and oils. It's another, you know, and then a smoke cleansing, you know. It's all part of it. You can use Florida water, you know, if that's what you want to do. Don't forget the area that you worked at, like your working altar. And if you don't have Florida water, if you don't use it, you can just use lemon water with some salt. It's real simple. So, desecration, consecration, and desecration. I know not everyone does them, but maybe this makes you go, Just something that makes you go, Until next video, I'll see you there.